Here is the AZ disease. One of my copywriters had this made up. It's the one video that I didn't make in the Scriptfella program, which should be in there, which is the AZ disease. What do I mean by the AZ disease? This is a recording taken from a free live class that I give from time to time to my email subscribers. Let's get stuck in. So what we're trying to do is create a frictionless read. Darkness. A dim torchlight flickers by a wire fence where a crouch hole has been cut. Beyond the fence, a figure in all black strides towards us. A duffel bag slung over his shoulder. It's too dark to make out any features, but his silhouette is strikingly masculine. A bright spotlight engulfs the figure. He freezes and raises his hands as a stampede of footsteps approach. A second spotlight pierces the fence, blinding us. Sunlight seeps through the blinds, bathing the quiet, open-plan space in a warm glow. Hurried footsteps scamper towards the door. A flustered woman bursts in, shattering the peace. This is Kate Baxter Williams. 45, strong-headed, hard-working and resilient. It's her way or the highway. Kate's keen eyes dart across the room. Her daughter, Casey, wide-eyed and innocent, sits at the table. She watches a video on her tablet, shovels chocolate cereal into her mouth, and guzzles a glass of orange juice. Her son, Elliot, 10, energetic and cheeky, stands opposite. He plays with cars, his cereal and juice untouched. Kate's husband, Craig, 50, an ignorant slob, lounges on the sofa, scrolling on his phone, earbuds in. Come on, chop chop, hurry up, or you'll be late for school. Casey slurps the milk from her bowl. Elliot stares at Kate. It's okay, Mum, just tell the teacher I needed extra time to eat my breakfast. Kate snatches the tablet and cars from the children. You've got to be on time at least one day this week. Now finish your food and go and get ready. And why have you got so much juice? Who gave you that much? You'll be weeing for England. Elliot shrugs, but Casey points an accusing finger at him. He huffs and crosses his arms. Kate glares at Craig, who is totally oblivious to everything. Race you to the bathroom. Casey downs her orange juice before Elliot can even react. That's not fair. I wasn't ready, and you had a head start. Casey shoots a taunting grin at Elliot, wipes her mouth with a sleeve, and rushes off. Elliot throws his spoon down and chases her. Kate yawns and mutters to herself as she clears the table. So let's look at the sugar cubes. We've got a mysterious beat. We're starting with a cold open, which I think is a solid strategy. Is it easy to see the first sentence? A dim torchlight, noun, flickers verb by a wire fence. So that's an NVO. I love an NVO because you can see it. Where a crouch hole has been cut. Hold on. Now I got to see a dim torchlight. That's one noun. And then there's the object. And then there's another noun. And that's three things in one sentence. And it's hard to see it. And then some more scene geography. So we're inside, we're one side of the fence, and then we go beyond the fence. A figure in all black strides towards us, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. But is he coming towards us, or is he coming towards the fence? So I'm confused. I'm sure it'll be fine in the movie or the TV show, but I'm confused as to which side of the fence he's on. It is too dark to make out any features, but his silhouette is strikingly masculine. What is strikingly masculine? If this is a man's silhouette strides towards the fence, duffel bag slung over his shoulder, I think that's probably all you need. And if you say strides towards the fence, you don't need to say beyond the fence. A bright spotlight engulfs the figure. Good. He freezes, raises his hands, and then here is the AZ disease. One of my copywriting writers had this made up. It's the one video that I didn't make in the Scriptfella program, which should be in there, which is the AZ disease. What do I mean by the AZ disease? It's when you describe two things happening at the same time, because in a movie, often you have one thing happening as another thing happens. And in movies, that's one thing. But when you're reading, you have to hold in the first sentence. And then when you get to the AZ, you say, oh, I've got to keep that picture in my head while another thing goes on. And it's not illegal. Nobody's going to stop reading, but it's a lot easier if you write sequentially rather than simultaneously. So we've got this here. freezes and raises his hand. Full stop. A stampede of footsteps approach. Approach is a suboptimal sort of neutral verb. Approach, they can approach. How much more menacing would that be if you swapped it out? You've got a stampede of footsteps. You could just go footsteps, stampede, or boots, stampede, and then we're in there. And then it's blinding us. You've used the us, but is it blinding us? Do you want to make us the sort of POV of the whole TV show, or do you want him to be blinded? So that's an important distinction. If you're enjoying this class, I've got a Scooby sense that you're going to absolutely love my free 50-minute masterclass. 7 mistakes stopping you getting an agent. It's essentially a taster class for my paid program, the Scriptfella program, but there are a ton of valuable, actionable techniques that you can take away today. So click on the link and get stuck in. And now we are going to plunge back in to the live dive. This is solid. We set up the family, but it's something that I see a lot of. It's an introduce a character-thon. Trust me, I don't just read a lot of these, I've written a lot of these. And if I was to say to you, okay, what's the difference between Craig, Elliot, Kate, and all the rest of it? I'm sure that this family is absolutely integral. But because you're introducing so many people so quickly, I'm never going to be able to remember she's strong-headed, hardworking, and resilient. It's a great description, her way or the highway. I'm not going to remember she's wide-eyed and innocent. So we've got 4 characters introduced in about 8-9 lines. How am I going to remember that Elliot is energetic and cheeky? And if you've watched any of my videos, you know I kind of advocate the idea of introducing your characters at their most characterful. She's burst in to this room. What's she actually doing? How does that description, strong-headed, hardworking, and resilient, match up to what does she do? Her keen eyes dart across the room. But that's, going back to our budget, I haven't yet been properly introduced to Kate, and now I'm understanding there's a lot of activity in this kitchen. But activity is the death of emotional engagement. If you're going to do this, which is very hard, a breakfast scene, I've made a video about it, 10 ways to hook a reader on page 1. I read a lot of breakfast scenes. And it's not badly written at all. I think you've put a lot of effort into the description. And you got his is interesting because his action matches his description. Craig, an ignorant slob, lounges on the sofa scrolling on his phone. So what you're telling me about him here links with what you're showing me. But the fact that Casey slurps milk and Elliot stares at Kate, and I've forgotten who Elliot is here. All of this dialogue is fine, but it's all coming out at the same tone. You've got to be on time at least one day this week. Now finish your food and go and get ready. And why have you got so much juice? Who gave you that much? You'll be weeing for England. I think the last line is brilliant. Who gave you all that juice? You'll be weeing for England. That's the good stuff. Everything else is realistic, but it's filler. The fact that Elliot shrugs and Casey points, and now I'm lost at who's doing what. Who's Casey? Who's Casey? Casey begins with C, as does Craig. So you've got 2 names that begin with the same letter, and they're both 5 letters. So it can help to differentiate the characters to come up with names that either look different or have a different tone to them.
What are they called?
Mikey, Ricky, Danny, Terry, Mikey, Davey, Timmy, Tommy, Joey, Robbie, Johnny, and Brian.
Who's our main character here, Ryan? Who's the main character?
Kate.
Okay, so if you look at the real estate here, of the first page and a half, what do we learn about her? She's got a very relatable situation that she's got a lazy husband. Now, there's some conflict.
I love these lazy Saturdays.
It's Wednesday, Homer.
Running around with the kids and being late for school or being on their devices is fine, but I want you to really hone in on when these things work is when you have conflict, because conflict is nitroglycerine for your characters. And you've got the setup. You've got a lazy dad here, and she's overworked. Now, if he's being lazy, is there the opportunity to create some conflict? And I don't know where their marriage is, but this would be a great place to understand where it is. So, Ryan, this is not bad. I'm not here to say this is bad. This is, that it's not necessarily working. But I am here to say that I don't think we've seen the best of this story yet. I think this is intriguing. There's some language in there and scene geography, which means I bumped slightly, but I think it's a cool beginning. And I like the way you're using cinematic lighting here, spotlight leading into sunlight. So you've got a good flow for the scene. So do those notes make sense, Ryan?
They do. Thank you very much. It was really useful.